it looks like Jen Rosati and Dawn Staley and all those folks that Cheryl Reeve, who had a hand in Caitlin Clark not making Team USA last year in the Olympics, the actual committee, looks like they may be gone.
What does it say when the most marketable star in women's basketball is excluded from the Olympic team? It's like gambling with the sport's future.
I'd rather watch paint dry. I'd rather watch dirt just be moved around because Caitlin Clark's not on the team. If she's there, it's appointment TV. You people, whoever did this, honestly, hey, take your brain, put it in a museum, and study it for how dumb you are.
What really happened between Cheryl Reeve and the US Olympic Committee? If you're pumped to see Caitlin Clark in the 2028 Olympics, drop a CC 2028 in the comments. In what feels like a dose of karma, USA Basketball has overhauled its selection process following Clark's controversial exclusion, triggering major staff changes. With Sue Bird now in charge, the Indiana Fever Stars' path to Los Angeles 2028 just got a whole lot easier.
It used to be a committee. Dawn Staley, Jennifer Rizzuti, and all of the hooligans associated in picking the USA basketball team. All of the hooligans, Cheryl Reeves included, so full of themselves, so bound by tribalism that they just couldn't look past their own nose. And at the end of the day, look at them now. Look at them now. The same fate as Cheryl Swoops calling those Dallas Wings games. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Jen Rosati, chair of the selection committee, insisted there was a solid rationale behind leaving Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster. At least, that's the narrative they wanted to promote. According to Rosati, the decision was based strictly on basketball factors. Experience and international play were the key criteria, while marketability and popularity were completely disregarded.
Remember during the Olympics, the person from either South Korea or Japan, holding up the Caitlin Clark sign? Team USA looked at that gentleman and said, $sign, $sign. These people over there in Japan, these people over there in South Korea, they're not paying for Team USA to come and watch hoop, but they'll pay for Caitlin Clark. In fact, they are so strong about voicing that they'll pay for Caitlin Clark, they'll come to the Olympic game holding a sign that says, you guys remember.
Sure, it's not all about popularity, and that's fair. But let's not overlook the facts. Caitlin Clark brings significant international experience, having won gold twice with Team USA in the FIBA U19 tournament, even earning MVP honors. She's not just any player. She's broken nearly every NCAA scoring record and revolutionized women's basketball in under a year. And you're telling me she didn't make the team? Seriously?
Decision on his part. Caitlin Clark is PR. That's where, how can they leave her? Once again, everybody's, out to get her. They don't want to grow the game.
Let's take a closer look at what really happened when Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA. Ticket prices skyrocketed, often multiplying several times over, and arenas that normally struggled to fill seats suddenly saw sellout crowds whenever the Shooms. Indiana fever came to town. The impact wasn't subtle. It was overwhelming. During her historic rookie season, Clark's jersey became the best-selling rookie jersey in WNBA history, and the Fever's season opener against the Connecticut Sun, it outdrew every NBA playoff game that same weekend in viewership.
We got to remember, the National Basketball Association, the NBA, the commissioner, Adam Silver, he came right out and said, I wouldn't have left Caitlin Clark off that team. And he even said, and several others said, women's basketball really dropped the ball on an opportunity to grow the women's game by leaving Caitlin Clark off that team.
These weren't just small shifts. They were a game changer in how women's basketball is viewed. Yet for some reason, The Olympic Committee decided Caitlin Clark wasn't worthy of a spot on the team. The backlash was swift and loud. Basketball. Experts saw right through the flimsy rationale. Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, calling the decision a deliberate blow to women's basketball at a critical time. Four-time Olympic gold medalist Lisa Leslie took it a step further, labeling it the biggest marketing blunder in the history of the sport.
This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid.
What this truly revealed was an outdated system, led by individuals unwilling to adapt. The selection committee missed the bigger picture. Caitlin Clark isn't just an exceptional player. She's a once-in-a-generation talent capable of taking women's basketball to the global stage. Think about it. They were operating as if it was still 2004, when the sport was fighting for any attention at all. Olympic viewers often ignore the less popular events, yet the committee chose to exclude the one player proven to draw in casual fans, the exact audience the sport needs to thrive.
Hey, dummies. For the first time, like in the history of basketball, you have arguably a player who is the most popular player in the world. Like, you could argue right now, Caitlin Clark is the most talked about, discussed, most popular, most puts asses in the seats, single basketball player in the world. You could argue that. Yeah, you could say maybe LeBron, Luka, whatever you want, but you can argue it. And you leave her off the Olympics team, it's not only a showcase for her, it's for the sport and the other WNBA players who are on this team. How dumb, how brain dead, how idiotic do the people running this thing have to be?
This wasn't just about Caitlin Clark losing an opportunity. It was about women's basketball losing its moment. The public outcry was immediate and undeniable, and the committee's refusal to prioritize star power over experience became increasingly indefensible. But as loud as the backlash was, the Olympic snub was only the surface. Behind the scenes, the cracks in USA Basketball's foundation were becoming glaringly obvious. The decision to leave Clark off the roster wasn't a one-time mistake. It was the inevitable consequence of a broken system on the verge of collapse.
I think if Caitlin Clark would have played, it would have been the biggest ratings of the Olympic Games last year. All right? And yeah, I don't know what it could have done to women's basketball.
Cheryl Reeve would like you to think she had no role in Caitlin Clark's exclusion from the Olympic roster. She insists she wasn't part of the selection process, and even claims she took a lot of bullets for USA Basketball. Nice try, coach. But the facts tell a completely different story.
But as a coach of the home team, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side.
I'll get two shits.
How about one?
Not even one shit.
Any second guessing here about not having Clark on the Olympic team?
From me? No.
Sure, there were other voices in the room, but Cheryl Reeve's influence on the selection process was undeniable. Even Jen Rosati, chair of the selection committee, acknowledged that the roster was designed specifically to fit Reeve's coaching style. So when Reeve claims she had no authority, what she really means is that she refused to take responsibility when fans asked why the most electrifying player in women's basketball was left watching the Olympics from home.
Along with nearly losing the gold medal game to France, the U.S. women's team was caught up in controversy leading up to the Olympics because Caitlin Clark was not on the team. The argument not to take Clark, a rising global megastar in the sport, was in part because she had not participated in many Team USA offseason functions, and also because there were women with more national team experience who had earned the right to play at the Olympics.
The final roster was made up of veterans who fit Cheryl Reeve's system, players who valued defense over offensive firepower. The committee's selections mirrored Reeve's Minnesota Lynx approach, a strategy that almost cost Team USA the gold medal.
She is good enough to be on the team. Based on how Caitlin Clark was playing at the time, she was worthy of being on this team. This is Caitlin Clark up against Jewel Lloyd, Diana Taurasi, and Kelsey Plum. Yeah. It's tough when you see it in front of you, right? Chelsea Gray's not even on this graph. Why isn't Chelsea Gray on this graph, you may ask? Great question. Chelsea Gray started the beginning of the season injured.